Okay, this is David Louis DeFabo with the 13 Moonwalk for Peace, and I'm here on the Preston Arrow-weed ranch in Winter Haven, or actually on the Fort Yuma
Indian
Reservation. And the 13 Moonwalk for Peace, we came in on, I believe it was Monday, and we were guided to come here, and were received very graciously. And we have a moment here to sitting down with Preston. Thank you, Preston, for joining us. And I just thought we'd have a little chat and get to know you a little bit better, and have you tell some of what you would like to share with us. So maybe you could share a little bit about how you came to be on the ranch here and the land that's here, and what it means to you to be here and what your work is here.
Well, I came here on my land here way in the early 90s, I think. And I came here and lived in a camper. Then I built a mud house over here, and I'm sure you've taken some taping of that.
Mm-hmm.
And then we built a mud house, and we made it. We just got scrap lumber, wood, everything we can find, and we built it.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, there's the roofing that we had to buy some things, but we did. We fixed that house, and I lived in it for a number of years, and my grandson was with me. But I've always wanted to live the way I did when I was a little boy, and so living in there made me feel like I was back in my youth, and I wanted my grandson to experience that also, because prior to that we had been living in Berkeley, where we lived in a two-story mansion, and he had everything he wanted. It's quite different, but this was his roots, and he enjoyed it too. He liked it. He wanted to be home. So we did a lot of things together here. But this land that I'm on now, it was given to me by my father, whose father gave it to him, and my great-grandfather has land on the other side that I have an interest in, which I gave to my daughter, and there's another land on this side that is my grandfather's, my brother has. So we have all this land here, and it's 10 acres. I've never leased it. I wanted to do something with it, just use it, let people come here if they want to. If they want to stay here, they can come here and stay here. And this happened. People come, stayed, camped here, and leave, visit and leave. And we have gatherings here. We've had some gatherings, and I think that the Mayans once came and blessed this land for me, and we've had anniversaries here. And I think that the people who wanted to go, the people that didn't have no place to go, I think they're the ones that came here. Like the people that are staying here and are using this place are the Lakota Sioux. They live around here, and they wanted a sweat lodge, to build a sweat lodge. They had no place. They couldn't build in the housing, so they asked if they can build one here, and I said sure. So they built a sweat lodge, and they come here and do their sweats. And whoever wants to go into that sweat lodge, they do. So they stay here, they come here, and they're gone, but they come back and redo it and have a sweat. So it's fine. We've had singing done here. We've done so many things. But I think I've always wanted to somehow capture the old days and how I used to live, and how you experience the nature. You know, you experience nature by sometimes it's a little bit cold, you have to find ways to stay warm. If it's a little bit hot, you find ways to stay cool. But you live with the forces of nature, I'm saying. And where you just turn on this little thing and everything's fine, you know. I did that too, but I wanted to experience the other side again, and I wanted my grandson to experience that. So we came here, we slept in mosquito nets outside because it was too hot inside, so we had mosquito nets, and the mosquitoes stayed away, and he slept in there. We slept outside, and during the day we stayed in the house. But it was an experience for him, and he loved it, and he always remembers that. He never forgot it when he was growing up. And we left, years later we left, but we always came back and forth, back and forth. But all that time my grandson was learning how to sing with me. I'm a tribal singer. I sing 2 cycles of songs that go from evening to morning, telling two different kinds of stories. So I do that, and my grandson was singing with me. He is a little baby, oh not little baby, maybe about 4 or 5 years old. He tried to sing with me. He kept doing that until he's in his 20s, and when he left on that journey to the walk that they did to Washington D.C., well, he went along and he sang all the way. He said all the songs he learned from me. So he learned it from here. Just being here also inspired him to do that. You know, the force of nature and everything. Because other kids try to sing, but they only go so far, but they don't really get it. They don't seem to get it. It's not in them. It's something foreign to them to some degrees. It's foreign because they never lived this way, never really had the teachings that I gave my grandson. So he loved to do both. But he was also very contemporary too. He was great at computers. And as for myself, I think that my goal was to have a place so people can go. It was really created this place for the arts. I'm an artist, really. And so I did that so people can come and visit, do their artwork. And right now I do have some guests who come and stay and do their artwork and make their jewelry and go sell it or whatever they do with it. But I have people that come here and do that. I'm an artist myself, so I feel they should have a place to express themselves. And I think it's paid off a lot because I learned a lot about their artwork, but I don't do it, but I learned how they do it. And I think that it's unique because some of this work that they're doing comes from Mexico. They're natives from Mexico who come here. And they do their work, and they've supported me. They've done a lot. And one of them went on this last walk, too, and he walked for my grandson. He carried the staff. I'm very lucky that he was here to do it. And sometimes there's a lot of them here, and then sometimes they're gone, but they come and go. But I'm glad that this walk, the moonwalk, came here, because I don't know, I kind of felt this, that there was nobody that, because one group that didn't stay here, they didn't come in at all, then all of a sudden they're here. And I said, they're here, you know, it's okay. And I felt great after that. And everybody that's in our, see, we're made up of Ipakuts, the elders. The Ipakuts elders, they were happy. And my foundation, the Matpipa Foundation, I think they were happy too. So I think that we were talking about that it was like a divine thing that happened. So whatever led them here, they led them here. And then when I saw it, I said, hey, this is divine happening. I accepted it. And it's been very good for all of us. I learned some things, those values that people have forgotten what they're doing, you know. And I try to, they talk about peace, I try to spread the word of peace, but I know what it's like. And I do that here, you know, I welcome people to come here. I don't put no restriction on people. They can come and visit if they want to. They can come and stay here if they want to. But I've seen, well, I think, for instance, the reservation, the tribal reservation, in order to do anything, you have to go through them. It's such red tape to go through them. You know, you have to go through this, you have to do that, and sometimes they're very disappointing. So, like when the Mayans wanted to go to a place where they can do their ceremonies, they got tired of the city, the gymnasiums, the football fields. They wanted to go somewhere where was nature. So they said they wanted to go to the San tribe here. And I said, I don't know if they'll give it to you, you'll have a lot of problems, but if you want to do it on my property, there will be no problem, you just go right in and do it. So they came, and they liked it.
How long ago was that?
Oh, years ago, about 3 or 4 years ago or so.
Okay.
They came here. But we've had other things that happened, you know, like gatherings, singing, dancing gatherings. We had an anniversary here, and then this one here. I teach over here too. I teach over here. We have a ramada that we hold it under in the summer, and this land here, I could lease it out and get $10,000 a year. So I'm losing $10,000 a year just the way it is, and I think it's worth it. I think it's worth it to me.
Well, we would agree. We felt the energy when we came. Met several of us remarked on that when we came in, and it's a beautiful place. And we were very, very happy to be able to place one of our peace poles here.
Yes.
In honor of Mucaw, your grandson. And so that's something that we did today on Friday. Oh, what's the date today? Well, who knows? It doesn't. But we came in on Monday. Today's Friday, and we were able to do that ceremony with you. And it was we were very honored to be able to do that, and felt that that was part of the reason we were here.
Well, that's what I say was divine.
Yes.
That's why it was divine.
Yes.
It was divine happening, because here is my grandson, and we had a long the diabetes walk, the long walk, and we had two representatives that went. And they just got back, and we were going to have big doings here, but it didn't happen. But I said, let's have a dinner anyways. I said, well, you know, nobody wants to come. I said, yes, they do. We have people there now. They're there, and they came to support us. So, oh yes, yes. So, and I was saying, hey, it didn't matter about that. Maybe it wasn't. They weren't meant to be there. Yeah, they were not meant to be there. They're gone. But we have people sent to us already. I said, and you know that you say that you hear that God works in mysterious ways. I said, well, Kumat, my Creator, works in mysterious ways too. He sent these people over. He sent them over too. You know, so. He works in mysterious ways. It was meant to be. It needed good people. It needed good people. It needed somebody with a purpose like he had before he left us. He needed somebody with a purpose came too. The others, I don't know what their purpose is. I don't want to talk about them.
Would you like to say anything about Mucaw, or tell us a little bit about him?
Mucaw?
Yeah.
Mucaw was... he was, I guess you would say he was before his time, really. A lot of things he did. A lot of things he did. He traveled too fast in his mind. Everything he did was too fast in his mind. And he was a whiz at computers. He picked it up very young. He had great teachers. They taught him. He learned computers, and he was fast. He learned to do everything, but he was so humble. And there were times, I think he wasn't a good student in school, but yet he could do it, but he didn't do it. And then later on he did do it and finish high school, like he's supposed to at the right time. He finished it. But he was, well, he experienced things like, he took karate one time. He took karate for a long time. And then he went to a tournament, and his problem was in the tournament, he did fine in defending himself. In defense he was good, but in the offense, when he had the chance to do a killing blow, he wouldn't do it. He wouldn't do it. And that was his problem. He just couldn't go through with a killing blow. He'd withdraw. And you know, sometimes, I don't know if he tied or he lost, but he just couldn't do a killing blow. Even though he knew it, he wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
So that's what I saw in him. And what I saw about him the most, too, was kids at that age, many of them like pets, but they don't really go too far with them, and they ignore them, and they leave them, and it's their dog, but they're always ignoring their pets. But in his case, one time we're down here living in another place. We had to move from here because the pesticide, it was too strong, and he had asthma, so he was having problems. So we moved to another place, and while we were there, one day he walks over to me and he says, "This man told me to get these kittens, excuse me, and throw them in the drain ditch." I said, and drown them. I said, "Well, if he wants to do it, why don't he do it? He wants you to do it." He said, I said, "No, I don't want to do it." He said, "Well, you don't have to do it." He said, "These kittens have no mama. They're just born. They got no mama. The mother died." Yeah. So they said, "Could I keep them?" I said, "Could I help them?" I said, "Yeah, you could." I said, "How can we do that?" I said, "Well," I said, "we can go to a pet shop and get bottles, baby bottles. They have them. And we asked for a formula." So we went to a pet shop and got a bottle, and then got the formula, bought the milk, we brought them, we mixed the formula, and he would feed the little kittens. He would feed the kittens. I said, "You have to do it every morning and after school, always." So he did. He fed those kittens, and then he would come back and feed them some more. He'd do that all the time. He came home and he'd take care of them, and he'd take care of them. And I saw the feelings he had for those kittens. I've never seen a kid at his age do that. He wanted to go out and play and do it. He'd done that before, but for this one, he stayed with them. He was determined to raise them and do what he could for them. And I saw that kindness in him. He's totally different from his mother or his uncle, you know. His uncle was okay too, Penny's brother. But this one, he was really dedicated to taking, like a mother. And I'd yell to the kid, "Mom's home," you know, every time he'd come home. And they'd run up to him and he'd take care of them. He really cared for them. And he raised them. And after they grew up, they went their own way too, these kittens. And then he had another cat that was all beat up and ready to die, and he brought him home. I said, "Well, he's going to die, but I want him to live." I said, "Well, let's nurse him." So we nursed him, and he got well. And he was so beat up, he lost his eye, that little kitten. And I said, "Well, he looked so beat up, you know." I said, "What does he look like?" He looks like Rocky in that movie. He gets all beat up. So we called him Rocky. And he had a one-eyed cat. And they were together. He took care of him, and he loved him. But he had such a love for creatures. And he couldn't harm or hurt anyone. That's what I saw in him. That's something he had. He loved it. He couldn't harm anyone. He couldn't hurt anyone. So I think that that was some of his problem. He was too trustworthy too. He trusted too much. And he wasn't like us. I mean, sometimes you don't trust somebody. He wanted to give them chances. He wanted to trust them. Oh, he went too far with that. But that was his nature. I think that's the very nature that killed him, because he trusted. And he was dedicated. He would do something. He would try to finish it. And I think it's really something that I never gave him. He got it himself. I don't know where he got it. The way he was, I don't know where he got it. He says that he sees me doing things, so he wants to do it too. But I don't think I went that far. But he maybe something I did, then he just went beyond me. But he would do things that I didn't do, just like that long walk. He went and did that. I don't think when I was his age I would do that, but he did it. So he was a very unusual person. He had this feeling inside, this heart that was so, I guess, loving, you might say. And he didn't want to harm anybody or anything. But that's the kind of person he was. And I remember he had that cat, and he just one-eyed, you know, and I said, "You and that stupid cat." And he said, "Golly, Dad, he may be dumb, but he's not stupid," he said. And the cat looked at him and said, "Meow." But they were over here, and we stayed there then. We came back and we stayed for a while. But he loved this place, and he always wanted to come. We went back to the cities, and he'd always want to come back. We'd sleep outside. He'd say, "Grandpa, we're not going to see the stars anymore," he'd say. He looked at the stars and went to sleep. So he had a very unusual life, I mean, the way he lived. And he learned to sing from me, and he started singing at the schools, at the functions. And one day, I don't know, some people criticized me for raising him the way I did, because it was isolated. He had no kids to play with. I said, "Yes, he does. He goes to meet other kids and so forth." And they were having problems. And I said, "You don't like the way I raise him the old way." He said, "You want him to raise it your way." He said, "I won't do it. This is the way I raise him." And the family that complained about him was on the school board. And I think they were trying to take him away from me. But it ended. But right after that, that school board member was a tribal member, and she lost a child. And my grandson and I went down there, and we sang all night for that child. And the mother of that child was the one that wanted to get my grandson to do him harm. But we didn't have no anger against that. We just went and did it for them.
Yeah.
But he was too fair. He was too nice, and he loved too much. You know, he loved things. So I don't know how to put it. I think he was too loved for his own. He was too understanding for his own good, I guess, somehow. But yeah, he was something. I mean, he would he would eat something that was so simple too. He wanted everything simple. Like for his asthma, he wanted to switch to eucalyptus juice from the eucalyptus tree. They would sell. He'd buy that for his. He wanted to get away from the medication, and he'd use that. And every time something happened, there he'd go. He'd get that, and he'd use that to sniff on it.
Yeah,
that's what he did.
Smart.
He didn't want to do the other thing. So, but I think that you know, I think that he was destined to do something. He was destined to go far. And that's when he was about to run for tribal council, and that this tragedy happened. He never got a chance to do it, but he could have if he had done it. He would have done something, and that's what they're afraid of too. I think they're afraid of that, and so they stopped him before he made it.
We heard such great testimony today about him, and all the wonderful things that were said that helped us understand a little bit more about who he was and his character. And I just wanted to say that you know, one of the reasons that we walk is for social justice. And there's so many things that we can easily find wrong in the world, and when we walk and we meet communities and people, we all of a sudden find these places where there's so much right going on. And I just wanted to say that that we all feel that that's a place we are right here in your property, in your community here. That there is you know, there's so much good going on, and so much love and respect, and so I just wanted to honor that, and thank you for having us in and letting us be a part of that also.
Maybe it's because we isolate ourselves from...
Well, we're a little isolated too in a certain way, walking.
Well, yeah, you isolate yourself, really. Yeah. You learn a lot about yourself and things around you.
Yeah.
More than the everyday thing that happens out there, I guess.
Right. From nature too, right? So that once you...
Getting back to nature.
Yep.
Yeah, so